remember if we, sure we did, but I want to clarify. The town cemetery, remember that was the one that belongs to the Methodist trustees. I think I got permission to go ahead and get that flipped over, didn't I? I'm gonna bring it back up tonight just to make sure. I'm almost 99% positive it is.
99.999. Yes, it is now 6:30, sir.
Well, he's got a section in there that says you shall
Would everyone please stand for pledge of allegiance, remain standing for invocation?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, as we gather this evening, this council asks for strength, courage, and wisdom. And we thank you for this wonderful town and the privilege you've given us to serve this town. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Call to order the November 19th meeting of the Mooresville Town Council. Members have had an opportunity to read the minutes from our previous meeting. I need a motion to either approve or amend.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes as they are.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
First item under new business, there was a letter that came to us from our public library board, or public library. It is from Diane. She had called it to our attention that we have a board trustee reappointment of Steve Oshman that will be due January 1st. Expires, this is a 4-year appointment. When this letter came in, I did tell Sandy that it was placed here, even though it was addressed to Mark. It came in and I said that will be put on a later agenda, which she went ahead and put on this under new business. No action needs to be taken on this tonight. Things always seem to happen for a good reason. We had a request for a list of board appointments. Shane, you know what I'm talking about. And Shane, Mr. Williams sent in a public records request. And what we found was we did not have a list per se that says this appointment's up, this appointment's up, this appointment's up. Usually what happens is we get notification from our park board or library board, CMPO, or solid waste district, different boards that we have appointments on, that we have an appointment that's up. Also, usually, I know in the past I've gone over the minutes from 4 years prior. That'll usually tell us where we need to be. Our police commission, I think we're all pretty well aware of those, but we don't have that list. I think it would be a great time to make a list like that. But it will take just a little bit of compiling. We can probably have it by our next meeting. But I need council's permission to create a document such as that. I know Sandy said that she could work with us, and we can get the ladies in the clerk treasurer's office to work with us.
If you need a motion, I'll make the motion.
I would like to have that motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Real quick, Tom, I kind of keep my own list. If you want me to send that over.
Yes, please.
Mhm.
Any will help.
Okay.
I've got some past letters that were sent from legal counsel in the past, and we can bring those all together and compile them.
Yeah.
And that will be shared as soon as it's completed. Next item on the agenda is Kenny Johnson requests a hood bond for wastewater. This was tabled from our last meeting. Kenny, were you able to get any more information? Did you work with Dave? Dave, do you have?
Yeah, I was today. Anybody need a copy of what we have? I think what we found is he wants to go along the back side, the east side of his properties, through there with a sewer main. It'd have to be engineered, and permits obtained through the state of Indiana. I don't see a problem with it. He owns most of the properties, correct? He would have to get an easement from property, doesn't
Even from who?
Just one property on the front, which we've already discussed with them, but we haven't ascertained it at the time. Would be the first property here, which we've already discussed. They don't mind the rest of it, but I have it on. Back there.
It's just that property beside that front house,
Yeah,
right?
it'd be the very front. We've already spoke to, I've already spoke with them.
Right.
And it could be, we just talked about all the infrastructure that's down through here is really loaded with water lines, gas lines, cable, phone, underground power. It's really,
Do you go out on the road? Is that what you're saying? You go out here?
to go on the road is difficult.
Okay.
Is there any other properties that could be developed on down the line?
Could be, yeah.
Will that line-
Actually, there's some stuff here that could be in the future, the farm field.
Might make a difference on the size of it.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, because those people may eventually,
I was just thinking more in the sense for these people, there's a guy here that possibly could just, for their convenience, a bit on septic. But yeah,
Would that be a private payment?
well, we talked about that, yeah.
Or do we want to get into that? I mean, do we want to be able to go, when this guy calls, it says, not floating,
You don't get one. Well, which one?
any one of them? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
if this house says, hey, my toilet won't flush, and this line's charged, and this line's free, then it's going to be up to private individual to get that cleaned out.
However, there's a great deal of property to the north that, if it's ever developed,
That's what I'm
we would
concerned
have
about.
a sewer trunk headed that direction. If it's sized appropriately, which would have to be up to engineering.
I know, like I said, I don't have a problem with, this here, but rather than just size it large enough for these houses, if you can do that, the only problem is, that is, when you hook onto the sewer, you pay development that we did east of town, and I think they were 12 years on getting their money back, because it was just slow coming in. There's just no real guarantees on how quickly you could be paid back for that oversizing. Okay, well,
But my thought was, is there something that, would I be, liable for having insurance policy? I didn't know if there's something I had to, be as a private.
well, if we do it that way, if we do it oversized, then we would want the easements to be able to come in and maintain
In the future.
anytime that we had problems with it. If you call a month from now and say, hey, this line up here is charged, David would go up there, and we need to be able to get access to the manholes, to be able to get a piece of equipment in there to clean them.
I got it, yeah, I see.
I mean, I don't know if there's a way down here, if you drop a manhole here, but then I don't know if this one here would go on out, or if you have a place that you can go here, if this utility easement continues on, I don't know.
I think utilities maintains it this line here, as far as like REC and everybody else, which is 30 foot.
Well, I mean, when we discuss off-site and oversizing, when we discuss being able to service this property to the north, we also have to discuss, can we get it to the north? And if this guy here says, absolutely not, you're not gonna run anything in here, then, can you, at that point in time, we would run it this way. We need to know, can we get to the most northern boundary of the last house service? But I mean, what you do is you go in there and if it costs $1 to put in a 4-inch pipe to service these houses, and the engineering says to take in that area, that should be a 12-inch pipe, and the developer agreement usually makes up the difference. It costs $1 to do this, it costs $3 to do this. You put it in for the $3, but then as that money comes back in, then it would come back to you. Dave, can you, kind of give you some guidance as far as where this would need to go to be able to service that north property, to where it is a good deal for everyone to be able to oversize this? You may come back after you do it and say, I don't really want to do that. But usually the engineers can kind of give us a good estimate on that. How far, of course, will that gravity flow back, do you know?
Well, the line on, Landry's is extremely deep. It's 18, 20 feet deep, so
Terre Haute or Fort Wayne?
it's, there's significant where.
Any other comments or questions?
I couldn't hear most of that,
I'm sorry.
but, I mean, the fundamental thing is if you're gonna oversize it, which it makes sense to oversize it, but it shouldn't be for Kenny to have to pay for it. Because he's just hooking on himself, he's not servicing the neighborhood. So I don't know how you get around that. He's asking to hook on the sewer, and I've not talked to Kenny, but from the dealer availability funds, I mean, I don't know how that would work with him, because he's not trying to service the neighborhood, he's trying to get sewer to his places.
We're just talking dimensions of the pipe, actually, in the sense, I guess.
I think the big thing is, I think maybe once you get the costs, see what those costs are, and see how that works, and we can go from there. And probably see if these guys really want to hook on and get it in writing if they want to hook on. You see what I mean? That way it clears the thing up. I understand. But is there one sticking point there that could throw the kink in that deal if it doesn't happen? Yeah. Okay, that's all I have.
The developer, there are some funds in the developer availability fund now. It's not broke like it was at one time.
Right.
They're down to nothing. I think right now there is, the developer availability is up to $61,000.
It makes sense for us to do it for further development and further, to inch on out that direction, of course. It makes more sense to do it that way. We just gotta see what the costs are before we can I mean, see what the cost, and I don't know, do you have someone working on that, Dave? Have you worked on that, or?
I haven't spoken to anybody, I think he's. John Hallway. Yeah, John Hallway. So he's working with.
Okay. I think that's what we need, is again, hate to say one more time, I'm in favor of it, but I think you need to know what the costs are before you decide which way we go. That's my opinion.
Well, the consensus is if you, or at least,
I agree.
Justin.
Same.
I mean, if you can come back and say, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Can I have a motion for him to move forward on this? That way he knows that we're committed to it.
I'll give you a motion, so moved, yeah.
Motion
I'll
made.
second.
Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
So we want you to move forward, we just need to determine what's the best way to do that. Okay?
Thanks, Kenny.
Thanks, Kenny.
Perf covered position.
That's for me.
Go ahead.
I had submitted the paperwork. I didn't realize at the last meeting that it was gonna be brought up, so, and I also didn't realize that there were some time constraints with this. It's usually done in November and I believe July. So, I had submitted the information, and it's basically changing one of the 77 police and fire pension into a civilian perf position. One of the biggest things is that's gonna allow us to, number one, with this position, bring in people who have experience. This is for the inspector's position. It's gonna allow us to get people with experience, which is really hard to do. You don't have a lot of young people wanting to be fire inspectors. So with that being said, we have a candidate that meets and exceeds the requirements. And I would like to be able to convert that position, which was 77 police and fire, into a civilian perf position.
So you have a candidate, you say?
I do have somebody that is currently doing the job. He just does not get the civilian perf because it was originally a 77 police and fire because they came from the fire companies
So he's not really,
themselves.
he's already hired, you already hired him?
Yes, to do the inspections. Everybody that we had in all of our positions, because when we first started the 77 police and fire, all of us went into it. There was no administrative positions that were slated.
I've talked with Tim, I don't have any issue with it, and I concur that that's a kind of a unique position to try to fill, and especially with a younger firefighter, that's probably not the most glorious position to be in, so I don't have an issue with it.
Any comments? Yes.
No, I'm perfectly fine with it.
I'm good.
And I need a motion, I would assume, first off, if we can convert this position back into a civilian perf, and also a motion to amend the salary ordinance to reflect that.
I'll make a motion that we amend the salary ordinance to reflect the new retirement plan, and that we transfer this from a 77 pension to the civilian perf.
Second.
One question before a little bit more discussion. Can you leave that as a dual? I know you have to, from the retirement aspect, but can you leave that, it could be either or do you have to go ahead and slam it the other way? Mel, that's probably a question for you, I don't know.
I'll leave it both ways in the ordinance.
Because I know right now, we just currently have one position, I think, in town we have a police chief now would be, it's slated as a civilian perf, it's not civilian, it's not slated as a police and fire.
For purposes of your salary ordinance, we're gonna give you, pick which way you're gonna do it, and then if you need to amend the ordinance for somebody else.
You just have to keep doing that. I got you. I just thought it would make life easier if you could flip it. I got you. I understand the reasoning. Okay.
So my motion stands.
in
You
just a
tried on
second.
that one.
I'm tweaking that, I was just thinking, I was trying to add a little, nothing to it. So. Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend the resolution to join the public employee retirement fund, as well as amend the salary ordinance. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Mark?
I said aye. Thanks, Tim.
I have one more thing I would like
Sorry,
to
just
bring
one thing
up
on
towards the bottom. Back about a year ago, I had submitted a FEMA grant, which is it's an AFG grant. It's assistant to firefighters, and they help you buy equipment. We've got our Cascade system, our SCBA, our turnout gear. We've got a lot of that stuff through the grant. We're only responsible for 5% of it. One of the things that we noticed is we started having issues with our fire hose. I had submitted a grant, and I received notification that they will award the grant. The total amount would be $29,120, and that would be for replacing 68 sections of fire hose, and we got a new thermal imaging camera. All those items need to be replaced. So with that being said, FEMA will pay $27,734, and we will be responsible, being the fire department, for $1,386, which is within the fire department's budget. One of the things that they ask you is when you get an approval, will you do your, approve it before or after the award? And I chose the after award because I certainly wasn't sure if we would get it or not, but I came before you today to ask if you would go ahead and approve this so I can move forward with it, and I'll continue to do the paperwork and everything else that goes along with that, and filing the reports.
I just want to say one thing. The fire department's been excellent with these grants and has saved a tremendous amount of money over the years. How they're doing it, I have no clue, but you guys have been really good about doing that. So I appreciate that, and that's good for the taxpayers as well. I make a motion that we approve the chief and move forward with this.
I will second.
Made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Tim, that was 30,000 total.
No, the total was $29,120.
And did you give them that number, or did they come up with that?
It populates itself.
Okay.
And they give you what your responsibility will be. And this will go into next year by the time everything gets ordered, but we still have, funding for equipment.
Thanks, chief.
Next item is the wastewater rate study. Was tabled from last meeting. Council members have had a chance to review. Any comments or questions?
My personal opinion is the alternative 3. What my fear is if we don't replace equipment that's 15 years or older after we approve one rate increase, then we're going to go right into another one potentially within the next year or two. With that being said, obviously I'm getting ready to leave the council, so I'm unable to do so, but it would be my recommendation that the council look at a better plan. Obviously, this increase is inevitable. No matter whether you do option 1, 2, or 3, it's going to increase. We have not done very good, I don't believe, as far as pre-planning with the sewer. This is the 3rd process or large increase that's had to happen that I know of, and I'd like to see some gradual increases versus 12 or 13 bucks a year, that we raise some cents per month and start planning a little bit better on our infrastructure on the sewer plant, being a little bit more prepared for that. So, but that's my 2 cents. Is I'm afraid that we're going to end up replacing it anyways, just in a different project and more monies. So I'd rather, in my opinion, go ahead and get it replaced since the age. If it's 4 or 5 years old, I would feel differently, but it's not. And the reality is, it's gonna start breaking down if we don't do the full phase F3.
Any comments?
Well, I mean, I like phase three, but I do agree that, we need to heavily look at an incremental increase so we can set up the town for future success, not Band-Aids. And, when TIF districts expire and things like that, we don't want to sit there and come back to this again and say, well, now we got to raise it $30 or whatever it is, and long after we're probably all gone off this council. I really like phase three, but only if we have open discussion about an incremental increase.
Any comments?
I don't quite understand what you mean incremental increase.
Like 2%, I think standard right now is 4%.
But you like 3, which is about $12 and something change. That's what it is a month.
Right, for the,
So you don't want that, or I don't.
I do, I
Okay.
want that, but I also want a future plan.
Oh,
It's
So-
basically, instead of going
I
back
understand
every
what
10
you- I got
years
it now.
and
Yeah,
and raising
sorry, I
this,
didn't explain that.
I'd rather go up a few cents a year to start building a little bit of a pot to go toward this, so we don't have to keep doing these large $12, $13, $30 increases, and it just makes sense.
We don't know what the 500,000 from the RDC or what other funding mechanisms we can look at may affect that as well. Could soften it a little bit.
Do we want to, this is based off of the open market alternatives are based off of 2 projects, phase 1 and phase 2. And that's, I think, what you alluded to there. Do we want to bid those and see a dollar amount? Do we want to, I can see offsetting maybe possibly $1 million worth of this. I don't know that we can. But as long as we have some plan as far as moving forward, the whole idea of the incremental 1% a year from this point forward, I do like that. It is worth considering. But I don't know legally if we can write that into a ordinance, a rate ordinance.
Baker Tilly will give you an opinion on that.
Okay. Okay.
But I also think that that is a possibility.
What order do we want to do this in? We want to go ahead and approve a rate increase based on what they have given us and bid the job?
I would prefer to bid the job and see what that produces, and then go after the rate increase, because if John comes in a lot higher than what you think, then those rate increases may not actually cover your project.
We do have estimates though, correct? We had estimates.
Yes.
But with the way the bidding market is right now,
Generally, how long does it take if we start the process now, and these bids come back, if we can get those back in 90 days, and so we can just come in and these?
Yes. You mean get a rate study?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. You just revise the numbers based on your bid, yes.
Question is, to start the rate study, you said it'd be approximately 90 days,
Of course.
or the rate ordinance. We could go ahead and approve it, contingent upon the numbers that come back on the bidding of the projects. Is that correct? And we can amend the ordinance based on those numbers.
That'd be a new council decision at that point in time, of course.
Or we can start the process forward. Because we don't have to do anything at that point in time. at least we can start it. You guys can be the bad guys.
Has to be done if you look at the infrastructure, so.
Absolutely.
I don't care if it's a bad guy, you know, it has to be done. I don't care if we don't do anything else.
Some of the pipes are, I think, 1995.
Well, some of them in that phase two is back in the eighties.
And that's what I'm saying, it's inevitable, it's either do it now or do it later.
Did you have hair in the eighties, David? Did you have hair in the eighties?
I did have hair, blonde hair. Now I have no hair.
Just curious.
I need a motion to move forward, and I don't know if we want to do it as two phases, start the bidding process, bid it as phase one and phase two, and bid it together, or an alternate. Or just bid it both at the same time.
Phase 2 and phase 3, you mean? Phase 1, there's no action.
Well, I'm talking about the
Oh,
engineering.
but that's
plan.
essentially phase 2 and 3.
Phase two,
Right.
bid it together and then bid it as phase one, as an alternate with just phase one in case we did, or phase two, in case we don't do both of them.
I guess you could, but, you know, we're not talking $12 a year.
Yeah.
If those numbers stand true.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve to go to bid on phase 2 and 3 together, and then phase 3 is alternative, contingent on the pricing.
And the incremental increase, can we look at that in the, is that a new council, you said, 90 days?
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna be up to that, but I think that's a wise.
Based on that, I will second that motion.
And the motion is just to, he's just
Yeah,
motion to bid.
I-
Motion made, and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Now we need a motion on the rate increase. I think that was a defense.
Mel, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
How do you want this worded, Mel? Phase 3, based on numbers on phase 3?
I'd just say not to exceed what.
Phase 3 is?
Yeah. In that, if you look, we still have the minimum residential charge with the 2,000 gallons or less, so it does not negatively impact the low end users. It'll be the same as what they're paying today. The other portion of that would be to put language in there on, while they're writing it, to put language in there for approval or to be stricken out of it for the irrigation systems and pools. Because we had kind of made a commitment, or I felt like we had made a commitment that we would adopt that or look at that, address that during this rate study. My comment at our last meeting was, since we have a residential non-metered use, that we could drop back onto that. They had said, Baker Tilly had said that was kind of odd, they hadn't seen it done that way before. They usually go with the average of the December, January, February months.
So that can be adopted within this time frame.
Mhm.
Okay. Make a motion, sorry.
Else advised that we could have Baker Tilly take a look at this as far as implementing it incrementally or the incremental portion of raising it a percentage after this raise from this point forward. And his question was, do we want to do this now on the rate increase, or do we want to do this after the bids come in? I was just afraid that if we're looking at 90 days to get this done, that starting the process now was not going to hurt us. Or do you have a confused look on your face?
No, I think, I understand where Mel's coming from, but I'm not clear exactly when we're gonna get a rate study done. We've already decided, or I thought we'd already decided we were gonna go ahead and I mean, you heard 3 people say phase 2 or 3, or 3.
Okay.
And so, you know, I think that's, and I thought, Dustin, did you just make a motion?
I was getting ready to.
Okay, go ahead.
Make a motion that we go ahead and approve the rate increase up to phase 3.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Tom, one question on that. I know it's been done, but I assume on the minimum usage, they would incur that 1% if it's on the rate. I mean, they would,
Yes.
theirs would go up.
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that's in there that way. Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Street Department building quotes tabled from last meeting. Right up here, Dave? Okay.
Steel ones.
You have that copy? I can know. Those rates are in the very back. The rates are in the very back.
First one is DC Metal. And for the building itself, material and labor is $90,000. They do have a concrete option to add $27,750. The next one is Commercial Contracting Services LLC. Building itself is $115,450. $115,450. The concrete is $40,500. Dave, did you ask these for to separate those out?
I did.
Okay. The next one is from Suncoat Construction. Base for the building is $103,401, $103,401. Their concrete work is $51,830. They have two other alternatives here, and I don't know if you'd asked for them. Gutters and downspouts. You had not put that not on their bid.
Should be on the other bids,
Okay.
the specs that I sent everyone.
You had gutters and downspouts on that.
Sure.
Okay. And then they have alternate for a metal roof. Did you request metal or shingle or?
I did not request an alternate for a metal roof, I specified shingles.
You specified shingles, okay. They had a deduct if we went with metal roof, but if he did not specify that, then. Have you done, has either of these, or, well, I know Sunco have any of the others done work here in the town of Mooresville?
DC Metals, I'm not sure, they put the barn for timber or inspected. Commercial Contracting is a local company, on Main and Indianapolis Road.
Comments or questions today?
Your recommendation, David?
DC Metals, significantly cheaper. The barn I've seen that they built for Tim was very well done.
Okay. That's all I have for David.
Where are we at on, and I know you've been working very closely with Indiana American.
Well, that's something I wanted to bring up. I don't know if you wanted to do that before we voted on this or not, but I've talked to them today, in fact, and we're good through the environmental part of it. It's, we have a phase one environmental that Dave and I worked on and answered the questions for them. They didn't really do a phase one in the whole strength of the phase one where they drilled, but they were very comfortable with that. And so as a result of that, it's going to be, they're going to get this closed by the end of the year. I can't give you a date right now, but that's where that's happening right now. I mean, there's a title company selected, and of course, obviously, the buyer selects that. So Indiana America selects that title company. And so, with that being said, because we do have things in that building that need to stay covered if possible, of course, I'd like for the council to go ahead, and most catastrophic thing, of course, would come is they don't buy it, but we still have money in CCD to buy it for this amount of money. And I think it's still good for Dave to consolidate that building over there in one spot. If we can get it moving now, then we have an opportunity to not have anything in the weather. We need to go ahead with Indiana American, put a drop dead date of something. I can work with them to see when that is based on when Dave can get these guys up here. I don't know, it's almost probably too late now. I don't know that exactly, but we need to get that in motion now to get on the schedule, get on the list. And that would be my recommendation to council. If something does happen, we do have adequate funds in CCD to take care of it. And I think he needs to do that. We have some equipment though, we don't want to sit out. So we need to get with Indiana American to do that. I'm not going to repeat myself again, I said it twice, but that's my recommendation to the council, that we do that. I think it's going to close. I feel very comfortable with that, but I can't, you know, as we say in my business, till the cash register rings, you don't know what's going to close. So all indications are it's going to close.
Okay. Now, we'll address that later.
I'll make the motion to approve the contract for DC Metals based on Dave's recommendation. I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Legal counsel.
Nothing additional?
While we're on that, last time when we sold the police station, they had to have a piece of paper that showed that that I had permission to sign on the sale of the title. Can we get that one more time so we have documentation in the minutes?
I think, yes, I mean, if we need a motion to make sure that the
Just to make sure.
president of town council is a signatory on the sale, I'll make that motion.
Motion made, by a second.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Tom, before we get to legal, I have one real quick thing.
Okay.
We had talked sometime back, and I think it's reflected in the record, but I want to make sure the Washington Street Cemetery, that we had talked about that and voted on it, that we were going to go ahead and put that into take that from the Mooresville or the Methodist trustees into the town of Mooresville, since we do the maintenance on it anyway. And I think we voted on that and agreed to that. With the council's permission, I'm going to go ahead and to get a quick claim from Chicago Title, or a title company, if you will, to go ahead and prepare that. And we did agree at that point in time that we would split that fee, and it's maybe $150, I would think, roughly about that's what it is. Methodist, the church would pay half, we'd pay half. I think it's already been done. It's been a while, so I wanted to make sure everybody was aware that I could still go ahead and get that accomplished if everybody's okay with that.
Yeah, I have no problem with it, and we did do a motion, I believe, to approve you to do that.
Okay.
Do we need to redo the motion then?
Let's just make sure.
I'll make a motion that we approve Mark to continue on with the quick claims deed process for the town cemetery.
Second?
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
department heads? Maybe you can't get up and say anything, can you? You've already asked for one. Do you have a report?
Couple things. If you don't mind. I've worked with an agent from Selective Insurance, and he's looking at our roofs on this building and the street department building. Looks like there's significant wind damage. He sent me a report, and I can email it to you all tomorrow, and we'll address that later. Leaf pickup's underway. It's very heavy right now, but the guys are a day ahead of schedule. We've had some minor delays with holidays, but they're working very hard and staying on top of that. And I'm sure you've all noticed the congested traffic due to the bridge work on State Road 67. It's going to be a long project. I've reached out to find the significant completion date. No word yet. So that's all I have on that.
Thanks, Dave.
Tim, did you have anything? Mark, anything for the park? No, Sue? Anything for the police department? Public comment?
Hello, Jeff Cook, Councilman-elect. I know everybody on here except for Mel. I'll be sitting at the other side of this table here in January. Just here to find out where you guys are at with the police department, where you're at with hiring a police chief, and what your guys' intentions are as far as hiring one before the end of the year.
Talk to Danny.
I was gonna say, I have no idea because it's a police commission.
Have you guys not talked to the commission?
No, and I don't intend to, because it may skew the process.
Okay.
I didn't know that we were on any kind of timeline. I thought we were just gonna hold to an open and fair process, whether it's before the end of the year, after the year, in 2021. As long as the process plays out and it's open and fair, I think we will maintain and keep that process.
Okay. Danny, where are we at?
To put together a process for the HR department's been helping us, appreciate that, keep us compliant and unbiased. We have interviews scheduled, we have backgrounds in process right now by another department who was nice enough to donate those services. When we get all those things back, then we'll make a decision. But we still have interviews to do, and we still have backgrounds to come back. So when the process is done, the process is done. I don't know exactly how long it's going to take.
To Jeff's point, is there a timeline?
I don't have a specific timeline. I'm assuming we'll get the background checks and everything sometime in December. So I don't know exactly when it's going to be with the holidays and everything. It could be first of the year, it could be into December. When it's done, it's done.
So you guys are doing interviews before a background is done?
We could do it concurrently.
Concurrently?
Yeah.
Okay, when are your interviews?
Friday.
Will they be back by then?
No.
It's backwards to me.
Police commission issue, not a
Yeah,
town council
well, you guys
issue.
are going. Okay. So I have.
All right.
If they bring you guys a name before the end of the year, do you plan on voting on it or waiting on the new commission or the new council?
If they have it that quick, I don't see why we hold off.
Anything else? Okay.
That's all I have right now. Since there's a new board coming on in January, it's a department head position. I think that the new board should make that decision.
I don't know that you've got a brand new board, you've got new members to the board, but not a new, still, you're gonna have members from the current board there.
Sure, but it's, I mean, we've got a new board coming on in January, so.
Understand that?
Right. We like to say in it, you guys are gonna be gone, you know, we'd like to say in it, you know, especially how the process has gone. So if you guys aren't following, you probably should.
I spoke my piece on
We
that.
committed, or we gave the police commission the access to do it. They asked for us to approve a third-party source. We did that. We're letting them do their jobs. That's all I can tell you.
Okay. That's all I have, thank you.
Any questions about the process while I'm up here?
I got the explanation the other day, very well
Do you
put.
want me to lay it out real quick for the public? or-
If you'd like.
Yeah, sure.
So we did hire the HR department, I appreciate that. They helped us put together a proper job description, which we didn't have, and a proper job posting. They educated us on how to conduct a proper hiring process, compliant with state and federal laws, which is extremely helpful. All resumes and applications were sent directly to HR, so it wasn't funneled through the department, so there was a degree of separation there. They did all the follow-ups on references and job history to verify that was all correct. Any problems with the application, they contacted the applicants, got those taken care of. They sorted the applicants into 2 tiers, and then they met with us to go over why they thought they should be separated into those 2 tiers to get our input on it. We agreed with them. And they then helped us draft professional appropriate interview questions. An outside agency with no ties to these candidates was selected to do the background checks. Like I said, they did that, no cost to us as a professional courtesy, so I appreciate that. When we do the interviews, just to let everybody know, they will give each police commissioner a score sheet. So it'll be like a private ballot kind of thing, where we rate how they answer the questions and how we think they perform overall during the interview. The HR department will compile those. And then when we get the background checks back, we'll sit down with the final scores from the interview and with the background checks to make sure there's no issues, and then we should have a recommendation for it. That's about as fair and open as we can make it. That's it. Any other questions?
Thanks for the update.
Okay.
The public comment. Need a motion for approval of payment of claims.
Make a motion that we approve claims in the amount of $647,932.13.
I will second.
Motion made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
The claims do include the West Side Interceptor, the Granite Inliner. In speaking to Danny Tingle, we had an 1.5 inch rain and saw no significant inflow. It stayed down lower than it had been in the past. He's not ready to make a commitment that this was a complete total success, but at least it's looking good.
It's better than it was.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
Motion made, do I have a second?
Second?
Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Next
Thanks,
item is
everybody.
Which I will not.
And have a happy Thanksgiving. Oh, yeah.